Every day, thousands of hackers try to steal your crypto. But Arculus uses air-gapped technology by forming a protective barrier that insulates you from hackers and secures your crypto. Order yours at getarculus.com.
Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job. But it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world. And we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
It's Sal Capaccio.
Filling up right behind the Bills bench right now with their flags and their hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo chant.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
We're in here talking about that Sabres jersey. Because
they'll definitely do something.
It just occurred to me. You have a game like that. Everybody puts on a new jersey.
Yeah, you have
and
to.
It's the Heritage Classic, so it's likely going to be an older Leafs look jersey.
Yeah.
So
the Leafs jersey, it'll look like they dragged it out of a bag that's been hidden under an arena for 100 years. It's good. It can't look old enough if it's the Leafs.
It's not going to look stupid like the Stadium Series jerseys do, because they always go for that, like, oh, this is the new bold and upcoming look. And the Leafs a few years ago wore all white for the Stadium Series, which was just blinding. It was awful.
Yeah.
So Sabres should wear something nice and old, and it hopefully will look nice.
Goat heads.
Hey, blue and gold goat heads?
No.
For this? No, come on.
They should wear the bottle caps.
I'm okay with the bottle caps.
They did make the
As
go
an
ahead
homage
blue
to
and
the
gold.
Bisons.
They did make the blue go ahead blue and gold for the reverse retro jersey this year. So
let's go bottle caps. That's a nice. I think that's a nice tribute. Hey, Sal is standing by on our Wester hotline. We had to fill a little bit there. Sal's not used to being on time with us. I wanted to make him feel right at home. He is brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the best place to buy a case. What's your outlet? If you've got a Bills question, you want to talk about Sunday's game, you've got a comment, you've got an opinion, now would be a dandy time to call 803-0550 because Sal's going to answer all that stuff. Happy Football Friday, Mr. Capaccio. How you doing?
I'm good. Now, listeners may think like you're joking. It's funny when you say that. True story. I plugged in at like 6:58.
What are you doing?
And I said to Brayton, I imagine they still have one more break to go, right? And his answer was, no, they went to the break on time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let's go. Like I had to scramble to make sure I had everything ready.
It's the new us. We are now the break on time show.
That's right.
The question is, we've gone through 1 hour, and we're good so far. How much longer can it last?
Hey, listen, I was talking with our program director, Alan Davis, yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? And it was funny because he was coming in, he had something to tell me or Joe or whatever, and he looks in because at the time Sal and Joe were hosting, and they were super late to the break too.
Oh, good
and
for you.
Alan was
It was
just
2
like,
minutes. It was 2 minutes.
Hey, doesn't matter. Alan
I
was
have
just
been
like,
trying to
Alan's
not
just
be,
like,
and he
come
joked,
on.
and he said it's the new late to the break show.
Yeah. So then I told Alan, it's just like, yeah, you should just call, instead of calling us WGR, it should be WLTB, W late to
the break.
Right.
You got a long way to go to catch up to us,
Listen,
mister.
there's going to be fallout from this. People will have to readjust their schedules. They might get to work earlier now.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
later,
Yeah.
depending on
What
commutes.
we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's
The world's going to change.
Can really mess with people's heads. Don't worry, it'll never last. Sal, let's. You know what? We have a lot of obviously Bills Miami stuff to get to. We got the injury report to get to, but I'm sure you did what a lot of Bills fans did last night. You watched the game because it's football, but you also knew, hey, let me take a look at Washington. They're going to be here a week from Sunday. So thoughts on the WFTs from last night?
Yeah, and look, I was on the afternoon show yesterday, and I guess they had someone on from BetQL, and he said, this game it's a dog game or whatever. People were hemming and hawing, and Mike even mentioned to me, he goes, I imagine you're not like that. It's a football game, you like it, and I said, yeah. I mean, I think you never know what can happen. There's storylines in this game. Barkley, Daniel Jones, I think is a storyline right now in New York, and of course Taylor Heineke. I want to watch him play, but little did I know that game was almost as drunk as the Monday night game by the end, right?
I mean, like drunk football, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I mean, who took primetime football out to party already this week? Because it is amazing. It was a great game. It was a fantastic ending, and I'm impressed with Taylor Heineke. I mean, here's a guy that basically off the trash heap, right? I mean, he wasn't even going to continue his career. He was the COVID QB, the emergency COVID QB. Throws for 336. Just the way that I don't know. I don't want to sound cliché, but he's got moxie, right? You know what I mean? He's just this guy that you want him on your team. You know that he's going to be there. He's going to be a gamer, and I think the Bills have their handful with this Washington team next week. Now, I will say, the Giants moved the ball on them. The Giants did some nice things offensively, and I think if you're looking and going, oh boy, Chase Young and that group,
right?
Right away, the first series, the Giants are coming down the field, and you're like, I really found it interesting that part of the Giants' game plan was running Daniel Jones on designed runs. And he ran for 95 yards in the game, by the way.
And had a big one called back on holding.
Yes.
He would have had another touchdown, he got some of that yards because it was, spot foul. Yeah, Sal, I mean, there's a little bit of Daniel Jones that to me is like diet Josh Allen. He's not as good, but he's big and tall and fast and big arm.
Yeah.
And he definitely had his success against that Washington defense.
He had a game in college where he ran for like $150 or something like that. I can't remember. I think, and he can run. You're right. So obviously I'm thinking, and I tweeted out, boy, I bet Brian Dable is taking note of these, design quarterback runs, essentially the play action in the backfield and how they're doing it. And I had someone go, "Oh, just what we need, more Josh Allen designed runs." And my response to that is basically yes. If that's what works, then yes, that's what you need. That's what you do. You do what works in football, and if that's what's going to work, and Josh Allen. The only thing that's really been negative about him running has really been fumbles, not injuries, right? I mean, he's done a good job of staying upright and understanding when to get down. But if that's what it's going to take to win, it was a great game. I really liked it. I watched it. I really, I'm impressed with Taylor Heineke. Now they have 10 days to get ready for the Buffalo Bills. They're going to be a team that's coming off a high. They're going to have their first road game, though. We'll see how that impacts them. But I think the Bills are going to have their hands full in a few different ways there with Washington.
But I'll tell you, I'm with you, Sal. I think there were two things I wanted to see specifically. One, how does Heineke look? And two, more Chase Young than anybody else, but what about their defensive front? I'm still a little scarred from what Pittsburgh did.
Yeah.
And I was not impressed with the Washington defense. I didn't think it was that good. And I thought, the Giants actually had a pretty good plan how to keep Chase Young from destroying their offensive line and their offense, generally speaking. And so I came away, I looked at that game when the schedule came out and said, hey, you might think, Washington, they'll roll them. No, I think this will be a really difficult game, but I was not that impressed with the defense from what I saw last night.
Yeah, it wasn't the kind of thing where you're like, oh my gosh, look at these guys. They're just getting after it left and right. They did wind up with 4 sacks total. So it wasn't like they didn't, and they did put some pressure on the quarterback.
Yep.
But I think the Giants did a really good job and had a plan. And a lot of what the Giants did, I think the Bills are very capable of doing, like I said, because they have a very athletic quarterback in Josh Allen. So it was a really good football game. It's interesting to me that the Bills 2 weeks in a row will play teams coming off Thursday night 10-day rests, because next week Houston plays, and then the following week they're in Buffalo, right? So that's just the way the schedule goes sometimes. I don't think it's a conspiracy against the Bills. They'll have their chance to have a Thursday nighter later in the year and have a little extra rest as well. So, but it is interesting that that's the case.
Let's do the the injury report, which is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured? Call 1-800-8-million. What do you got for us today?
Yeah, the Bills are pretty clean, I think, right now on the injury front. Now, we'll have Sean McDermott on our show at right around 10:30. He'll be on, and we'll ask him about if anybody's going to be declared out or what that looks like. But I think the big one yesterday was Gabriel Davis, and whether or not he was going to be at practice, because he did not participate on Wednesday due to an ankle injury. He was out there. I saw him, put some video out of him in the media open portion of practice, working with the receivers. He was officially listed as limited. Star Latulele, 2 days in a row, officially listed as limited. There was one, kind of something to get your eyes going a little bit, and that is Micah Hyde shows up on the injury report with a neck injury as limited. I will tell you guys, he was at practice. He was wearing a red jersey, and he did his media availability, which is usually a sign that there's nothing too concerning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if there was something wrong, that he probably would have been pulled back from that. Emmanuel Sanders had a vet rest day yesterday, so we're going to get those throughout the year. For the Dolphins, very clean injury report. Every active player on their roster was a full participant. Now, that comes with a note that now two things, except for one, but I'll get to that. Raekwon Davis, remember we talked about him, he's on IR. So he's not a active player. That's why he's not on the injury report, but he is not going to play. He's their starting nose tackle. Interesting with Will Fuller. So he had the suspension last year for PEDs towards the end of the year. Carried over into one game this year. So he was suspended. He couldn't play in the opener. They really want to get him back. Here's Will Fuller, stretch the field. What can he do different for the offense? He comes back to practice on Wednesday, telling how much he's really ready to get back after it, and then he's not there on Thursday. And there's a lot of questions. Why? The Dolphins officially listed him as not injury-related personal matter, which is fine. I mean, maybe, something happened and he's got to, he missed practice. Could all be fine today. But I find it interesting. And also, look, I'm not the guy who normally points this stuff out because I don't think it matters that much. But a few people have pointed out that he also deleted his Instagram account yesterday on the same day he missed practice for a personal matter. So I don't know. It's just something to look at, right? I mean, you don't know what's going on here.
Well, hopefully he doesn't have the TJ Watt will he play result because he'll go for 5 touchdowns, He
played and played well, yeah. The game plan, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. So, I mean, the Dolphins they like to blitz. Sal, they were the second, I'm going to go with blitziest. I don't even think it's a word, but it sounds cool. The second blitziest team in the league last year. And when they blitzed against Josh Allen, he beat him last year. He beat him pretty good when they blitzed. They like to play man coverage as opposed to zone. Then Pittsburgh was very heavy zone coverage and had success the other day. So if they stick to their philosophies, if they blitz, if they go, we got our corners, we love them, we're going man, wouldn't that play into the Bills' hands?
I would think so. That's, I think, the recipe for what has allowed Josh Allen a lot of ways to have the success he's had against the Miami Dolphins. I think that's the kind of defense the Bills would welcome and thrive against and want to see. But, if you're the Dolphins, do you do that or do you get out of character a little bit and do something different? I expect them to mix it up a little bit. I don't think they're going to completely abandon who they are. I don't think that's smart for any team to necessarily do. This is a team that led the league in takeaways last year. Now, fumbles and interceptions total. They're going to be aggressive. They want to be aggressive. I think that's who they are. That's their character. So, if they want to be a little more passive, if you will, I mean, you could say like playing zone and hanging back and calling it passive, right? I mean, you can still be aggressive in that manner. But, if you're not going to be man-to-man, you're not going to be blitzing, I don't know if you're necessarily doing what you normally want to do. And if you're the Dolphins, you probably don't want to get too far away from that. So, yes, I would think the Bills should be able to and want to see that. Now, it doesn't matter whether they blitz or they don't blitz. The offensive line has to play better. I mean, it's just going to come down to that, really. They have to play better than what they were last Sunday.
On that note, let's get to a call here, 803-0550 to join us. We get connected with our fans, brought to you by Bond, Shenick & King, a full-service Buffalo law firm. Dennis in Williamsville, you're on with Sal here on Football Friday. Go right ahead.
Hey, guys. I was just wondering if we could follow up on the press conference from the post-game of last game when somebody asked Sean McDermott if he knew about, obviously he knew about the struggles of the offensive line, but if he could identify kind of a culprit of where some of the issues were coming from. And he had said, well, I got to watch the film, but I have a pretty good idea of what's going on there. So I don't know if that means that he was identifying a certain player. And I didn't know, Sal, if you had seen at practice, if there'd been any change in the offensive line, maybe starters or rotations.
So just on that second point, we can't watch enough of practice to be able to tell you that. We do not get to watch them play in what they call the team portion. Once they go to offense and defense, the media is kicked out essentially. I mean, that's pretty much standard around the league. So I can't tell you who's playing where. They could literally show up with an entirely new offensive line on Sunday, and I would not be able to – I wouldn't know that, not because I'm not there paying attention, because we're not allowed to see that. That happens during the portion of practice that we're not able to watch. So I would not be surprised, though, if we see – remember last week we did see Ike Butker in there a little bit with Cody Ford. John Feliciano, I think, struggled a little bit last week. We all saw that. Who knows what's going to happen there? So I wouldn't be surprised to see some movement in there. But at the same time, what are your options really? Are you going to take Deion Dawkins out and put Spencer Brown in? I don't think that's going to happen, right? So you're not taking Darrell Williams off the field right now. Not that he was I'm not even pointing out and saying any of these guys are specific culprits. And as far as the other piece is concerned, Sean, I think, is referring always in a general sense when he talks about that. I don't think he's talking about specifically. He could have been, but he's never really going to give you that. Even if he felt one person was like the weak link, so to speak, Sean McDermott doesn't talk like that, right? He's going to tell you about the team and the group, and he's not going to single anybody out. And that's just the way he is in how he approaches it.
This particular matchup, obviously, is the Bills' offensive line against Miami's defensive front is a lot more favorable to the Bills than facing Pittsburgh's defensive front. And having said that, Sal, anybody to worry about, or what do you think about that matchup of the Bills and their pass rush against that defensive front? Or their pass protection, I should say, sorry.
So you're talking about the Dolphins?
The Dolphins line. No, the Bills' offensive line versus the Dolphins' defensive front.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not Pittsburgh,
how many
obviously.
Times, that's right. How many times have we said, there's no, this is not T.J. Watt and Cameron Hayward, and right, what you're saying is right. I think this is a defensive front that is going to try to be aggressive. They are 3-4. That's something I think you have to take into consideration when you're going into a game and how you want to handle it. But that guy in the middle, anytime you run a 3-4. We've seen this for years past in Buffalo when they've run 3-4s in the past. That nose tackle is so key, right? But we know Raekwon Davis is out. So who do they go with there, and what does that look like? So, it's certainly not the same. We'll see what Miami comes up with. Ogba has been a good player at times. Christian Wilkins, he's a guy they drafted a couple of years ago, high draft pick for them. He's been okay in the NFL. I don't think he's necessarily lived up to the standard of what they want. You look at the linebacking core. Van Ginkel's, he was hurt, but he's back at practice. So, again, aggressive group. I don't think as talented or as scary as you will if you just look on paper as what they saw from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It'd be interesting to see, right? As you said, they'll probably change it up. They wouldn't necessarily just play all man or zone or whatever. They'd throw different looks.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see if and when they say, okay, are they going to take Xavier Howard and go, okay, you've got Diggs. Go to work, and we'll see what happens.
I agree, and they probably will. I mean, I would think that would be what most teams would do if you have a number one corner and you're a man-to-man team. You probably move him around and cover Stephon Diggs, who's one of the best in the league. To me, that's probably what you do, but we'll see. The Bills have good receivers. This is a game where if you're going to do that, first of all, I think you still expect Stephon Diggs to win his share of one-on-ones, but if you're going to do that, now we're talking about where that depth comes in that we've talked about with the Bills at wide receiver so much, right? Guys like Emmanuel Sanders, guys like Gabriel Davis, and of course Cole Beasley in the slot. This is where they're going to have to come in and make some plays for you, and the Bills will have to target them. And that's Byron Jones is no slouch either, right? He's on the other side, so it's not the easiest group to go against, that's for sure.
We talk a lot, obviously, about the Bills' offense and whether they'll bounce back in those matchups. But, and I guess you and Joe were talking a little bit about this yesterday, a large part of the game is also, how does Tua look? He's the guy they think is their quarterback, although there were some rumblings in the offseason, like maybe they're interested in Deshaun Watson if indeed he's traded by Houston. And we're at a point, as you know, Sal, in this division where the Bills have their guy. And Miami hopes they have theirs, and the Jets hope they just drafted theirs, and the Patriots have given the keys to their car to the guy they hope is their quarterback. And watching Tua, who we saw one time against the Bills last year, and he wasn't that good, watching Tua is a big part of Sunday as well because they got him better weapons for their passing game.
They did, and I still think that the Dolphins are in like an evaluation mode of Tua, if you will. There's still a lot of rumblings. Even yesterday there was some stuff about them and Deshaun Watson and being interested, and not now, but if he becomes available and he doesn't have the legal situation and that's all taken care of or whatever, and he's good on that side of it. So there's still some stuff about there. I wonder what the Dolphins feel. There's a lot of questions about Tua. I think there's a lot of questions in Miami about Tua within their organization. I don't think they're convinced that he's necessarily the guy. Since he came into the league, I remember the first time we saw him play when he came in for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I came down here with you guys, and we all said, he looks tiny, right? I mean, that was the thing that stood out to me. He looked so tiny. He looked so small. And look, you could play. There's been smaller guys in the league. We know that. Drew Brees is not the biggest dude, and Russell Wilson, right? But, in his injuries, and I don't think he has quite the arm strength to get it down the field. Like, okay, how's this going to look? I'm still leaving the door open. Like, I think he could wind up being really, really good. But so far from what I've seen, he's a game manager. They gave him a lot of weapons, and it's really more about the weapons than it is about the guy getting him the weapons or getting the ball to the weapons. Yeah, you'd love him to take that step up, and maybe he's improved, But I don't know. I mean, last week, he threw for 202 yards. That's a good defense, of course. He's playing against Bill Belichick. But I don't know. If I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, I'm sitting probably here this entire season wondering what I have at quarterback.
Well, this has got to be their year to find out. I mean, he is. I don't know. I'm with you on all that, Sal. When you say tiny, you mean like his shoulder pads, his frame is small. He's 6'1", so he's not the shortest.
But exactly right.
Yeah,
not short.
Yeah, I see that. I'm with you as well on that. The hip injury that happened to him in college, like ever since that, he's had to prove that he's healthy. He's had to prove a lot of things, and his record is good as a starter, but that's very easily pointed to that Brian Flores has done a nice job. And Miami's had a pretty good roster. Now they've added the weapons. To me, this is their find out year. They didn't make the Deshaun Watson deal, and it would have been, anybody could defend making a Watson trade. After this year, maybe they circle back on Watson and go for it, depending on whatever happens with him. I'm with you on Tua. I do think it's really early though to write him off. I'm not ready to.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not ready to do that, but. It's tough because he does have a winning record. I know I'm not about QB wins, so I don't know. I'm just I just want to. I guess with all that, all I just want to say is it's still so early for him. Right.
Oh, I agree 100%. And again, I'm not writing him off. I'm just saying that by this point, like I'm still wondering if I'm in that organization. I mean, we were there with Josh Allen early on in his second year, right? I mean, after his first year, you're like, okay, we saw some really flash plays. What's he going to do in his second year? And then you started to see more, and you're like, okay, now he's starting to figure it out. Maybe they'll get to that point with him. So he could wind up being that. He could wind up making a huge leap.
He definitely hasn't had as many flash plays, though, right?
And did you watch the game last week? Did you see like him against New England?
Yeah.
Like one thing that kind of stood out to me, and I think we talked about this earlier in the week, is they're kind of doing some things with him to give him like fakes and play action. Not that play action's a bad thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like they're trying to make sure they put him in a good position to succeed instead of just saying, hey, we have the guy who can succeed. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like they're scheming things to help him. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but at some point you have to transition from scheming to help him to we have the guy, and no matter what we call, he's going to be okay here.
Yeah, they're still spoon-feeding a young quarterback, basically.
How many off-schedule, as they say, plays is he making? Because in the league as it is today, you've got to make those, for the most part. If you're not Tom Brady, every good young quarterback is making off-schedule plays and is a playmaker. And I guess that's probably the difference between playmaker and game manager, is that the game manager never feels like a playmaker. And while we're early into his career, I don't know how many times he's looked like a real playmaker and like a catalyst of an offense yet.
That's exactly right. And if you watch that game, like I said, it's a lot of like they're doing stuff back there where it's completely designed. You're going to fake here and look here, and we're going to create an opportunity for you to throw to a guy who's open and you can make the play instead of, hey, we're going to have you drop back and read the field. You know what I mean? And that could happen. It could still happen. Again, it's not an indictment on his career. It's just here he is, and he didn't even start his whole rookie year, right? Like Josh Allen started game 2 of his rookie season, played the whole season. Well, there was an injury there, but Tua came in halfway through the year, so they're going to build this. They're going to build him up, but I still get the sense that they're treating him still like a game manager, but with a little more aggressiveness on his plate.
One thing, there's a piece in I don't know who wrote that. Apparently, he checked out of a run into a pass last week. There's an article I'm reading at Dolphins Insider about how he's more aggressive and that they've given him a little more freedom at the line. That there was a run play, he checked into a pass, got them close to a first down, they pushed forward, they ended up scoring on the drive to take the lead. So they are giving him a little more.
And they've put in more obviously they put in RPOs at a greater rate than they would with Ryan Fitzpatrick last season. So to Sal's point, it seems like they were able to design the playbook for Tua specifically this season. One thing before we let you go, I mean, obviously full stadiums again. And Jeremy and I were mentioning earlier this week, there was a note that the tickets for this game on the secondary market are pretty pricey by Miami Dolphins standards. And someone down there is writing how, well, Dolphins fans must be excited after the big win over New England. And we're looking at it going, well, no, Dolphin fans know Bills fans love buying tickets to this game, so it's jacking up the prices. What kind of Bills fans crowd do you think we'll see Sunday, or you'll see Sunday when you're down inside the stadium?
Oh, you'll still see a heavy Bills contingent. I hear from people, I've seen from people, I know people going down there. It's always something that as soon as the schedule comes out, lots of Bills fans buy their tickets. They go down there. I think the difference will be there will be more Dolphins fans than normal, but there will still be the Bills fans because it's not usually a packed stadium. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like maybe they sell all the seats, but they're not. People don't show up. It's hot. The team isn't as good or whatever. I still think you'll see. It won't be the kind of crowd where you're like, oh my God, there's more Bills fans here, because you're going to see a lot of Dolphins fans who are really excited about their team, and rightfully so. I mean, they have a 1-0 record. They went to New England. You have a chance here to beat the Bills. They go 2-0. They have Tua. They got all these weapons. Why wouldn't you be excited if you're a Dolphins fan and want to go to this game? It's the home opener.
Yeah.
But I still expect a lot of Bills fans. I just don't think you'll notice, or they won't be as prevalent in the stands because of the more Dolphins fans you'll actually see there.
Well, have fun Sunday, and we'll break it all down with you Monday morning. And actually, don't forget Sal and Joe with the Extra Point Show today, including Sean McDermott around 10:30 this morning. Thank you as always, sir.
All right, guys, have a good day.
You too. Sal's segment brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it is the best place to buy a case. What's your outlet? Make sure you join WGR 550 Thursday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. for I'm Listening. It's a live 2-hour show featuring some of the biggest names in music and sports, and insight from some of the most respected mental health professionals as we strive to destigmatize talking about mental health. You will hear personal stories from a number of people, including Kevin Love and Wolfgang Van Halen. You are not alone. It is Thursday, September 23rd, again from 6 to 8 p.m. It is called I'm Listening. You can listen to it here on WGR 550. It will also be available on the Odyssey app. And if you'd like more information, all you need to do is visit imlistening.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of someone trying to steal your crypto. Every day, thousands of hackers online are doing the same. That's why Arculus uses air-gapped cold storage technology to protect your assets. Using our keycard and wallet app to form a protective barrier, Arculus insulates you from hackers and puts control of your digital assets back in your hands. Order the first truly air-gapped crypto wallet at getarculus.com.
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with Classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.
I'm Doc Rivers, and I'm proud to present a new podcast documentary series called It Was Said Sports, where I guide you through 6 of the most impactful and timeless speeches in sports history. Listen and follow It Was Said Sports, a documentary podcast presentation of Shining City Audio, a C13 Originals, and John Meacham Studio. Available now on Odyssey and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job. But it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world. And we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
There are guys that absolutely care about this team. They care about their job, and they're going to do everything in their power to be the best versions of themselves. And by no means has anybody lost any confidence in them. And we're looking forward to having really good years from both those guys, and really from all 5 guys up front, whoever may be playing. So there's no loss in confidence at all. We got to go out there, and there's things I can do better. There's things they know they can do better. There's things like everybody, even from Coach Dable to Coach McDermott to everybody in this organization. And we're extremely accountable, but we care about each other, and we don't want to let each other down.
Josh Allen, the Bills in Miami Sunday. We are talking about it all this morning with you, getting your prediction, your thoughts on the game. That's what we do. Football Friday, by the way, on WGR, is brought to you by Buffalo-style chicken logs from Original Pizza Logs, official finger food of the Buffalo Bills, and also by Corona Hard Seltzer, official seltzer of the Buffalo Bills.
seeing a lot of pictures of Diggs and Allen for their Sports Illustrated for Kids photo shoot. You see those pictures?
I saw the cover shot, yeah.
I'm a Sports Illustrated for Kids graduate.
I
had SI for Kids.
No, we went with the senior version.
Well, I mean, eventually I graduated to the senior version.
I went right to the senior version.
They probably didn't have it when you were a kid.
I probably don't.
Did they have printed magazines in color when you were... Actually, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, say it. What?
Did they have color printing? Hold on. What year BCE did you start subscribing to Sports Illustrated for Kids? 200 BCE?
I'm just going to let you keep going. Get
was
it all out.
Was it when
Get
dairy
all out
was
now.
invented?
I know you're back in the studio this week for the first time in a while.
Did
so
they
get it all out.
Did they cover the unveiling of the Sphinx? Anyway,
I do remember watching black and white TV.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was color, but by the time I was watching TV.
Yeah,
he was subscribing to Sports Illustrated since the evolution of man.
There you go.
We had Sports Illustrated because actually we used to cut the save the covers and some of the great pictures. There's a there's a huge collage, probably the size of this glass window in our studio.
Okay.
My two older brothers took tons of SI pictures from the magazine and made this incredibly huge, put on one side of the basement wall collage. Fantastic. Stupid little rat-faced youngest brother would throw darts at it and thought it was really funny. So to this day, we still have the collage, by the way. It's in my mom's house down on Long Island.
SI for Kids came out in 1989.
There you go.
So, I mean, I'm 10 years old in 1989.
Yeah.
And
I would have not been reading it in 89 because I would have been 27 at the time.
I wasn't even born.
I remember when it would come, I was excited. You know, it's a sports magazine. It's for kids. It's for me. And then I got, of course, Sports Illustrated. I got ESPN the magazine at some point. I'm trying to think of like the other maybe Sport, Slam.
Are you old enough to remember Sport?
I think so.
Okay, because I was going to say that actually there were two magazines. It was Sports Illustrated and Sport Magazine, and those were the two magazines we lived on. You know, we got, man, you're really going old school here. I used to love Hockey News. When the Hockey News came in the mail, to me that was like one of the coolest days of the week because that was the way you kept informed on everything. You know, no ESPN, no NHL Network, obviously. So the publications, the magazines, the sporting news, these were ways we kept. This is how I found out about what was going around the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Because in New York, I grew up on Long Island, so we'd hear about the Rangers, eventually the Islanders. Because anyway, you'd hear about the New York teams. You want to find out about the rest of the league? You got to go read these magazines. So those were like a lifeline to sports back then. Those were huge.
Yeah, it was fun.
And of course, we had the swimsuit issue.
I can remember. I don't know if anybody else around here would remember specifically if you were a kid. Scott Norwood was. They used to do an SI for Kids, like the last page might have been a comic or cartoon where a professional athlete would explain their worst day.
Oh boy.
It's like you can get through things, blah. So I feel like that was a feature. And I remember they did it with Norwood once, and it was a little storyboard comic of him recalling missing the kick.
You guys would have to do that every day.
Worst day, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that stuff. I'm still, I don't get magazines anymore, but I was very much, that was cool. That was always, either we got them delivered or you would just go to the deli around the corner and check the newsstand, and you knew every day, what day of the week SI was out and Sport was out and Sporting News. And like I said, I used to love reading. I ate those things up, read them from cover to cover. It was phenomenal.
So I have a Twitter poll up asking, we do this probably just about every year. We're in a ritual, and I enjoy it. So the Twitter poll is: assuming a win, how badly do you need to see the Bills' offense look right? Your own definition of the offense looks right. Maybe that's Allen roasting the Dolphins. Maybe that's just 28 points. How badly do you need to see the Bills' offense look right? Your options are: I need it, bad, it'd be nice, or only the W matters to me.
All right, well, it's definitely not knockout only the W matters to me. I mean, I want them to win, of course.
Sure.
But if they get 6 field goals and win 18-12, I'm not going to be happy. I'll be like, uh-oh, this is 2 weeks in a row. This is not Pittsburgh's defense. So knock that one out. So I got to figure out which one of the other two it would have to be for me.
It'd be nice, or you really need it.
That's a tough call, Jeremy. I know where you stand on this.
Well, I mean,
I would be... I would lean towards I really need it because let's face it, I don't think this is going to be one of it was a good defense last year. In fact, they might have led the league in scoring defense last year, and I know they're good at takeaways.
Great at takeaways.
But Josh eats them up. You know, the Bills had a game where it didn't matter again, and they put up 56 against Miami. So, yeah, I would lean towards that only because, let's face it, if the Bills season is going where we hope it's going to go, it's because the offense is explosive again.
I don't need it bad. I'm at it'd be really nice.
I'm leaning more, if I had to, I would lean more towards I need it bad only because if it's now back-to-back games and I'm going, what the hell's going on?
Right.
With
Are we going to extend this to four games, 5 games?
Yeah.
You know, especially if, you know, Miami is different because they don't play this zone. If Miami comes out and plays that kind of zone that the other teams do, and they do it well, that would be a team leaving its bread and butter to play a style that they think can beat the Bills. And if it does, and the offense does not look good, then that starts to become, wait a minute, how many teams can just go to this one style and hold this offense down? See, I don't expect that.
But I think there are two things in play here. It isn't just are they going to the zone. To me, if you're going to do what Pittsburgh did, you've got to be able to rush for and get through. I don't think Miami can do that. I think Miami, if Miami's going to get pressure on Josh Allen, I think they'll have to blitz. I don't see their 4 versus the Bills' 5 and the Bills regularly losing that matchup on Sunday. They did against Pittsburgh.
They did.
So Pittsburgh could put 7 guys back in zone. Miami, I don't think is good enough to win up front that much 4 versus 5.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think they'll have to blitz, and that's where the advantage shifts back to the Bills.
Well, how does Kansas City hold the Bills' offense down? It's not with Pittsburgh's line.
Apparently their secondary holds guys.
How did Baltimore do it? They don't have Pittsburgh's line.
No, but when
good.
They've got better talent, I think. Well, not with Judon gone now, but they had some pretty good talent up front in their front 7, and their secondary is outstanding too. I mean, Baltimore's I think Baltimore's front 7 is better than Miami's. They both have very good secondaries, but I think Baltimore was an overall better defense.
Yeah, so it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Of course, again, it's assuming the win. So 59% say I need it bad. 24% say it'd be nice, and 17% only the win matters.
I'd probably vote with I need it bad. I would be more inclined to go there than it'd be nice. It'd be nice to me is not a strong enough answer at this point. I need to see the offense play well because you know what? The fallback from Pittsburgh were 2 things. 1, Miami doesn't have Pittsburgh's front. 2, well, Josh always carves this team up. You know, even in 2019, in 2020, even in 2018, the only time they lost was the pass to the end zone was too short for Charles Clay. Was just died. He beats this team up pretty good, even in defeat. So
they feast on man teams, and if Miami's going to be a man team,
which I mean, do they go away from their identity? Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to vote more for I need it bad because my mental state of mind will be better if I see the offense play well. And if they don't, there goes the whole, well, Josh always plays well against Miami. Don't worry, guys. They'll be fine.
Eric tweets in, I think the offense can be fixed even if they don't put up a ton this week. I don't think I'm hitting the panic button with 15 games left and 2 winnable home games on the horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody is close to panic button. And, it's a win is a win, sure. I wonder, for instance, last year, the third quarter became a talking point after, enough games go by where they don't score in the third quarter. It became, hey, what do you guys think's going on in the third quarter?
It was going into the bye week. The stats were terrible in
the third quarter.
Going in, it was so bad. They were just awful. And then out of the bye, the offense hit another level, and guess what? They start scoring in the third quarter.
Right. I never thought the third quarter thing was that big a deal myself. Like I thought there could be circumstances to it. A lot of times they had the lead. Maybe they played differently. It never bothered me. It never got to the point where I worried too much about it. And for this little stretch for the offense, Pittsburgh's a great defense. Okay. Miami's a good defense. Okay. If it gets to Washington, Houston, Kansas City again, I guess what I'm saying is it'd be really nice to see this offense get back to the point where we thought it was on par with Kansas City, because there's definitely a gap, and I just wonder how far into the season we would go watching them just be, they're not humming, they're getting by, and they're still a good team, but the whole thing about raising the bar is wanting to see them dominate offensively.
Well, they had, if you look at last season, they hit, around just between the quarter point and the halfway point, right? They had about a month-long funk.
Yeah.
Kansas City was in there, right? Tennessee would have been in there, maybe the New England
Patriots
game.
and the Jets
game. They had like a 4-game funk.
Yeah, they had to pull out a game against New England with a Justin Zimmer fumble. They got a win against the Jets without a touchdown.
Yeah. And now, was the Arizona game before the bye? Or was it after the bye? I'm trying to remember.
It was before the bye.
Okay, so they did better in that game. And then they came out against the Chargers, and then they started crushing people for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Their offense was humming the rest of the season. Look, here's another thing about Sunday, Jeremy, to your discussion about do you need it bad and all this stuff. To me, I'm putting almost every single egg in my basket into Pittsburgh. That was Pittsburgh. Miami's not going to do to the Bills what Pittsburgh did to the Bills. If Miami does to the Bills what Pittsburgh did, I'm going to be in a dark place Monday. So I guess I do have to vote. I need it bad because if it doesn't go well Sunday, I'm going to be in a really bad spot. You should be able to get your offense back against the Dolphins because they're not Pittsburgh. If that doesn't happen, I can't play the they're not Pittsburgh card anymore. And now I got to start thinking about, first off, they have to beat Washington and Houston just to get back to 500. And is the offense going to be good enough to beat Mahomes, to outscore Mahomes? It's the dark spot I don't want to go to.
Yeah.
I'm very confident Sunday they'll be fine offensively. I think they'll have a good day.
And then there's a little bit of this, not a big chunk of it. Again, we're not panicking. Nobody's panicking.
Not yet. Me, anyway.
But,
not yet.
He's a $150 million quarterback.
Yeah.
Because you expect the offense to be that $150 million quarterback offense. And that doesn't mean you can just write off, for 6 games it goes into funks. Like, that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to be week in, week. You're going to have bad games here and there. Whatever.
Unless you're Patrick Mahomes. I feel like he doesn't have bad games.
They're very rare.
But the whole 100, that's Sunday's game against the Steelers. Despite all the stuff that was going on up front, despite all the holding penalties and all the problems, there were plays there that Josh didn't make. There were throws that were there, not just the deep ball to Emmanuel Sanders. I think it was Joe Biscalia's piece the other day. He did a really good breakdown. There's a short little 3rd and 3 swing pass to Beasley. He throws at his shoe tops. Hit that. There were just a number of other throws, a couple throws to Diggs, where guys were open. It's not like there were no opportunities and Josh never had a chance to find a guy open. He did. And he didn't make throws that last season he made. So I need him to be better. And I think that goes back into I need the offense to look better. I need my quarterback to be better. I need him to hit throws that he didn't make against Pittsburgh.
You need your tackles to look better.
I don't need 6 holding penalties.
No, right. You've sunk a lot of money in your 2 tackles. Darrell Williams had a good year last year and got brought back because of it. Deion Dawkins is a franchise left tackle, and you need more out of your tackles and also your entire line.
Mm-hmm. And again, I think they should have a better day Sunday, matching up than they did last Sunday.
I was about to say, which group were we on the offense? Are people happy with? The receivers. You had a drop from Sanders.
Devin Singletary.
Singletary was okay.
Knox was okay. He had 4 targets, 4
Diggs
catches.
was fine.
Yeah, shorter. It was not a vintage Diggs day, but he was okay.
Yeah, right. There's your 52-point offense, and then I'd just like to see some chunk plays again,
right?
Because they didn't come against Pittsburgh.
Yes. See, Sunday was just a very short take what they're giving us throwing day, and that was very frustrating to watch. 8:03. Well, we made it through an hour and a half breaking on time. That's good for us. 803-0550 to join us. 888 poor Brayton. 888-550-2550. Your Bills Dolphins prediction, breaking down the game with you all morning. Football Friday, WGR.
Every day, thousands of hackers try to steal your crypto. But Arculus uses air-gapped technology by forming a protective barrier that insulates you from hackers and secures your crypto. Order yours at getarculus.com.
Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job. But it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world. And we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
Odyssey. Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with Classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.
You want to know what wagertainment is? It's the picks, the analysis, the information, mixed with the laughter and the entertainment, smart sports betting content that'll put a smile on your face.
The BetQL Network, streaming live each day and helping you bet smarter.
If you're a sports fan, you know why you should listen. It's sports betting content without the BS. No hot takes, no nonsense.
The BetQL Network, streaming live right now on Odyssey.
Sports, bets, and entertainment.
You don't want to let games in early September slip away because we understand how end of December, how the playoff picture starts to roll around. You know, you're going to be wishing, hey, I wish, we would have stopped that 3rd and 10 in that first ball game of the season, or, we wish that wouldn't have happened. So there's always urgency. You got to win each and every week. You got to win each and every day, honestly, as you're preparing, and then each and every week. And that way, later on in the season, you're not saying, I wish, woulda, coulda, shoulda, that type of stuff.
That is Micah Hyde. Bills getting ready to face Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins Sunday. Hey, you don't have to worry about home field advantage. It's not a problem because the Miami Dolphins fans are the least rowdiest fans in the National Football League. That is according to bookies.com. So they have a story out. The rowdiest NFL fans ranked 1 to 32. And they even have the top 10 rowdiest quarterbacks and the top 10 rowdiest coaches. Miami is dead last.
I believe it.
The Buffalo Bills, however, when Miami comes here, look out. Because the Bills rated pretty high on the list. In fact, number 2. The Bills were listed as the second rowdiest fan base because it gives a little description about their rowdiest behavior.
They throw each other through tables?
They damage property.
Okay.
That would be the big reason why they are number 2. They damage property. They're too loud, and they drink too much.
Too loud.
Too loud.
Get out of here.
Must be the train horn whistle thing.
Who's number 1?
Who's number 1?
The Raiders.
No.
No, but the Raiders are close. They're in the top 5. The Raiders are actually 4th.
Okay.
Too loud. By the way, too loud? He's right. It's rowdy. Too loud.
I want to guess Kansas City.
Kansas City is...
Seattle?
Hang on. I'm still trying to find...
Seattle's
11th.
I'm looking at teams
If
here.
rowdiness comes down to property damage, then...
Kansas City is 20th. I think there's an obvious answer you guys are missing for rowdiest fan base. Considered a really difficult city to play in.
Philadelphia.
There you go. The
okay.
Philadelphia Eagles were voted the rowdiest fans. They have the most disruptive behavior of drinking too much.
Did I tell you that?
They did put a court in their stadium once.
There was a joke about Philly fans on the Manning cast. Did I tell you that one?
No.
Where they were asking Peyton asked Charles Barkley about getting booed.
Yeah.
Like, Charles, you got booed a lot, right? He said, Peyton, I played in Philadelphia. Of course I got booed. And then Barkley said, Eli, you know what it's like to get booed at home. And Eli laughed. It was funny. It was,
Philly was 1. Bills were 2. Dallas is listed as 3. They drink too much, apparently. The Raiders were 4th, and the Steelers were 5th in terms of the rowdiest fans.
Did you guys happen to see the picture of the Carolina Panthers fan? The one fan? He was sitting in his seat on Sunday, and he had at least a dozen, if not like 15 cans of
I did
Miller
see
Lite,
that.
like the tall
under the
boys
chair.
underneath his seat.
Yeah.
And he was in the process of drinking another one.
He was thirsty.
True champ right there.
He was thirsty.
This leads to a story, the great moments in attending Bills road games. The only time I went to a game in Miami, I went to Miami in like 2012 or 13, whenever they finished 4-12. The Bills won that game. I went to the Miami game with a bunch of guys, and my buddy Brian, in the stands, when the beer guy comes up and looking to... He asked, how much for the whole tray? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't want you to have to come back here.
The whole tray.
There's enough. I want the entire tray.
Just leave it here with us?
Yeah, cans of beer.
That's a lot of beer.
Gave him a price, gave him the money. The guy took the entire rack.
He did?
He did it.
I honestly thought they wouldn't let him do
the
that.
entire rack off and set it down.
I figured that would be. I figured they wouldn't tell vendors to actually do that.
I also thought that would not be allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no limit, or at least you can't buy the whole tray.
There were enough of us.
Wow.
Here you go.
How many beers was
He's like, I'll save you a trip.
Yeah, well, not only that, but the guy could have easily said, I'm just going to buy for the entire row. And this is
exactly.
No, this is all mine.
Did you guys give him a big tip for leaving the whole tray?
I don't know. I wasn't the one that gave him cash.
The whole tray?
How much for the whole tray?
They took the bar. The whole bleeping bar.
Yeah.
By the way, Sean McDermott was the 19th most rowdiest coach.
He's got to do some more clapping.
All that clapping.
Clap harder.
Would you like to know who the rowdiest coach was?
Rowdiest coach.
I don't know why how is this guy the rowdiest
I would have
coach?
said Jim Harbaugh, but he's obviously
rowdiest. It's got to be Dan Campbell.
He's number 3.
Ooh,
3.
And there are no explanations.
Sean Payton?
No, and by the way, there are no explanations like to why these guys. I'll just tell you. Bill Belichick is listed as the right?
Oh my
That's what I'm looking at going, really? What did you use to determine rowdiest coaches? Andy Reid is 4th. Andy Reid is a rowdy head coach.
Bruce Arians is rowdier than both those guys.
Is it based on how much they yell at officials? I'm guessing.
Oh, I mean, Bill Belichick
he did throw a phone. That's right. Yeah. So maybe that's why. Maybe he's been known to throw tablets. Maybe that's what it is.
All right. We got to go to break, guys.
Oh, my. Hey, we had a good first hour.
You had a good run.
We really did. We had a nice run there for 60 minutes. 803-0550 to join us. Football Friday, we are talking Bills Dolphins with you. Football Friday on WGR. Brought to you by Buffalo Style Chicken Logs from Original Pizza Logs, official finger food of the Buffalo Bills, and by Corona Hard Seltzer, official seltzer of the Buffalo Bills.
I'm Erin Ryan, political commentator, comedy writer, and host of Crooked Media's Hysteria.
And I'm co-host Alyssa Mastromonaco, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff for President Obama.
Each week on Hysteria, we are joined by a team of hilariously opinionated ladies to discuss the headlines from the serious to the absurd.
We cover everything from reproductive rights to rom-coms and break down the political news of the week and cultural stories that affect women's lives.
New episodes of Hysteria drop every Thursday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hear that? That's the sound of someone trying to steal your crypto. Every day, thousands of hackers online are doing the same. That's why Arculus uses air-gapped cold storage technology to protect your assets. Using our keycard and wallet app to form a protective barrier, Arculus insulates you from hackers and puts control of your digital assets back in your hands. Order the first truly air-gapped crypto wallet at getarculus.com.
Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job. But it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world. And we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.